So in the lands between, to be small is to be cursed, treated with scorn by the general populace, much like the omens with their hulking sizes and innumerable masses of horns, and the misbegotten with their horrific-ass wings and off-putting tails. But the difference between them and who I'm going to call the small, as I can't tell exactly what they are. They could be dwarfs, they could be elves, it's really tough to say. They appear to be just be small men, though.
Well, you may be a man, or you may be a leprechaun, but only one thing's for sure. You're in the wrong basement.
However, what separates these guys from other cursed ones is that their short stature was not secretly some sign of divinity from a previous age coming back, but instead appears to have just been the luck of the draw. At first I thought they were another type of demi-human. At first I thought the demi-humans were orcs of some kind and that these dudes were like their guerrilla warfare goblin cousins. But the demi-humans appear to be more ape-like than orc-like, and the small don't appear to share any features with them outside of the dark skin tone and the size of the lesser demi-humans. And then I thought, well, if they're not goblins or orcs or elves of any kind, then maybe they're dwarves or gnomes. You know what I mean? From Software has had dwarves and gnomes in the form of the bell keepers and the girms or the gworms. You know, Gavlon from Dark Souls 2, mainly in Dark Souls 2, which is often the maligned Dark Souls game, but I think it's got a lot of heart. But they definitely had some creepy looking, dwarfs and gnomes in previous games, or at least a previous game, so I figured, oh, okay, this is just them for this game. But as far as I can tell, though, the small are just small humans, like little dudes, with no real connection to the demi-humans, or at least none that I could find. But in order to survive and earn a living in this hostile land that they were born into, the small banded together and became the Vulgar Militia, a sort of makeshift mercenary force armed with shodels and Bloodborne-esque saw blades and smoke bombs that they use to ambush their enemies. In fact, these guys are like experts of guerrilla warfare. They hide in bushes, jump out of trees, they cause bleed damage, they throw smoke bombs to disorient you. They're very good at it. They use their small size to their advantage and, hide amongst the scenery, also using their very strange and patchwork-looking armor to blend in. These particularly angry little dudes would eventually gain a ruthless and sometimes grisly reputation as stewards of rancid, scorched battlefields, decorating their armor with souvenirs and trophies of the dead, as seen by how their armor looks like they've taken a couple pieces off the aristocrat's garb, at least to me. Obviously, I could be wrong, but it looks like it. Either way, they decorate their armor with the trinkets of the dead and stuff that they pick off the dead bodies that littered these forgotten places and forbidden lands, where they served as untiring, unsung watchkeepers. A bit like a miniature Night's Watch, but a lot more brutal and from Softian. These guys are found in a few catacombs and caves, but outside of that, a lot of their locations are pretty telling when it comes to who they serve, or at least 3 of the locations are. The first of these 3 is probably the most famous, as it's a pretty renowned farm spot that was pretty much all over YouTube at first when the game first dropped. But I'm talking about between the farum greatbridge and the bestial sanctum, where they appear to be guarding the path to the beast clergyman gurranq, who has presumably employed them to guard this place, having taught them bestial incantations as a form of payment. But this is hardly the only group of militiamen that gurranq has employed in some form, or rather malekith in this case, because the ones we can find in the hidden path to the Halleck tree, who also wield beast incantations, appear to be either guarding this secret area on behalf of either malekith or Marika. Either one would make sense, as Marika could have just ordered malekith to take care of it, who then ordered the militiamen to take care of it, as the Halleck tree itself is supposedly one of the most guarded secrets in the realm. And it makes sense this path would be protected, as Miquella was still, Marika's son, and by default, Malekith's nephew. Although these militiamen could just as likely be seeking out the death root that grows deep in the catacomb, but either way, it's highly likely that they work for Malekith, as this group's weapons appear to be imbued with the dark red fire of destined death, which is only really found in a couple of places. Malekith's blade incantation, I think maybe his actual sword, and of course the daggers used by the Black Knife assassins that were also said to be imbued with destined death, or the rune of death, or a rune of death, which for some reason can't be countered with the blasphemous claw like Malekith's own attacks can, which I always thought was weird. That shit should still be used to counter the shit in PvP. That'd be dope. Another possible clue as to who they serve is found in the description of their saw weapon, which mentions rumors of the sauce being used to chop up the bodies of the dead to feed the militiamen. Now, this act of consuming the dead is extremely similar to gurranq's means of dealing with the death roots themselves, but again, it could just be another rumor to paint the militia as vicious cannibals and add to their already ruthless and gruesome reputation. The final location that hints at gurranq being their employer is in the Forbidden Land. There, a band of militiamen watch the roads in the narrow ravine alongside a black-blood kindred and I believe a knight's cavalryman. The black-blood kindred are a type of gargoyle that's loyal only to gurranq, and the knight's cavalry are loyal to Margit the Fell Omen, and he's probably just watching that road specifically to keep people, anybody who happened to sneak past Margit while he's there to kill them. But these Forbidden Lands house a road that leads only to the Flame of Ruin, and by proxy, Farum, as that's the only way to get to Farum the first time, besides that random spot at the Four Belfries that only lets you access a mere portion of the whole Legacy dungeon. And Farum, of course, is Malekith's home when he's not at the Sanctum in Caelid. It's also full of his kin, the Beastmen, who wield extremely unique curved swords of varying sizes. So while not directly confirmed, it's entirely possible that the Vulgar Militia exclusively serves Malekith, with him sending bands of them to consume death and to make sure the dead of the battlefields don't rise up as undead. And the ones that he appointed special tasks are often taught special skills like incantations or, in some cases, imbued with the red flame of death, as both a type of payment and insurance that the jobs get done. A couple of other final observations I had was that they appear to want to seem larger and more intimidating than they actually are, so they wear these cone head-like Kiadi-Mundi helmets. It looks kind of like Hodrick's helmet, but a little longer, to appear taller, and they use weapons extended on poles to increase their naturally short reach. And as I said before, I'm pretty sure they're just small humans with either dirty or dark complexion, and part of their armor looks like it was looted off of an aristocrat. And they make crazy-ass noises when they attack, kind of like the monkey men. And like many enemies in this game, a group of them wound up as spirit ashes somehow. In a hero's grave, no less. But basically, I think that the Vulgar Militia is a scorned and feared band of little dude mercenaries that quietly works for the Black Blade Malekith, that outside of guarding some of his most secret locations, operates a bit like how the followers of the Abyss Watchers from Dark Souls 3's Ashes of the Ariandel DLC, who showed up after the Watchers ravaged an area, cleaning up any remnants that were still hanging around, except the militia show up and make sure the dead stay dead, and that no one interfere with what they guard. So Marika orders Malekith to have something taken care of, and he employs the militia for the task. But one final question you might have after all of this is that why? Why would Malekith, the Black Blade, use these guys instead of the Beastmen, for example? Or any of the other resources that he, as Marika's shadow and half-brother, would surely have access to? Well, it could be because that Marika is punishing him in some way for the Rune of Death being partially stolen, despite the fact that she may have actually secretly had a hand in the events, as it was carried out by Newman women. But I think it might have more to do with the deniability factor. I mean, by using this group of pariahs to do their dirty work in the shadows, that, if they're caught and captured, no one would believe them if they said that they worked for the Black Blade or the Golden Order, which added a layer of tenuous trust, I guess, between the militia and their mysterious employer, if he was indeed Malekith, as they were likely privy to many of Marika's best-kept secrets, due to the simple fact that there was no one they could tell that would believe them. This separated them from other more formidable resources that could have been used in their place. But there was also the brutal reputation of the Vulgar Militiamen, which often was enough to keep even the most curious minds away from the places that they guarded. Because, they may be small, but
He's got tremendous moxie for his size.
But all that being said, it's still tough to say who exactly they work for. I mean, they could have just scavenged all these incantations and even stolen a piece of the red fire or whatever Destined Death exactly is. I mean, but I think, to me, all the signs point to it being Malekith being who employs them. I mean, even Marika has her own group of Shadow Ops assassins in the form of the Black Knives, who are all said to be Newman women, which was the exact same race as Marika is. It's like real subtle, Alright, this is totally not a last minute edit, but they also appear to have a hunched over like posture, which they probably hate, as they have this severe Napoleonic complex, which makes them do all these things to appear taller and have further reach. but are not only cursed to be short as shit, but also hunchbacks. I mean, it's no wonder that these fucking little dudes are so angry and ready to jump slam people into submission. It should be noted, though, that this hunched over posture is shared by like all peasants, and peasants are the dudes with the wooden boombox around their neck, and the same race or same type of model, at least, as Gostok, the rune stealer, which sort of just reinforces the idea that they're just small humans as opposed to presumably elves, which if they were, they'd share like a bit of similarities with the elves of The Witcher from the books and games, not from the fucking terrible ass show. As opposed to like the normal Tolkien style elves that you see common in fantasy. One last thing I want to say about the Vulgar Militia is that as the casual Neo series enjoyer, I'm extremely irritated that we can't get their Kurosagamas, which I'm probably butchering that word, but I think to the point where I didn't even mention it in the rest of the video, but yeah, they wield a really cool unusable Kurosagama with which is like a hand scythe held in one hand, and like it's connected to a chain with like a mace head, similar to a flail. I'm probably describing it horribly, but if you've seen the fucking thing or if you played Neo, you know what I'm talking about. I don't know how practical they'd be in like real life in terms of use as weapons, but I mean they're visually very, very cool looking and very fun to use in games like Neo. And they look like they would be fun to use in Elden Ring, as the Vulgar Militants look like they have a little bit of a moveset with them, but you know, I guess we can't have everything. But anyway, that's all. That's my last little note. One last thing I noticed while I was getting footage for the Kurosagama wielding guys, though, is that the ones in Caelid also have death on their blades, which I'm surprised I didn't remember. I mean, I guess I didn't spend as much time farming there as everyone else, but I definitely ran through the area a couple times. I don't know. I guess it's easy to miss things or forget things when this game is as expansive as it is. So that adds them to the ones of the Forbidden Lands and the ones who guard the secret path to the Hallowed Tree that all have death on their blades and wield beast incantations. But the ones in Liurnia don't seem to wield any kind of beast incantations or have death on their blades. At least I was trying to get them to use death and they just wouldn't use it. So I'm assuming they don't use it, and possibly these ones don't have any association with Malekith or Gurranq or America and any of that. But then again, they could still be working for the Beast Lord, because maybe these guys are trying to earn their pay in the form of beast incants for fulfilling some kind of job for Malekith in the form of disrupting shit for the Carrion Nobles or for the Fire Monks. Who knows, honestly. But anyway, that's about all I could piece together on the Vulgar Militia. I hope you guys found it informative. If you liked the video, please like. If you didn't like, dislike. If you have any alternate theories, please share them in the comments. I always love that shit. And if you like my videos in general, please consider subscribing. That really would be dope. I'd really appreciate that. And I just want to say thank you for all the feedback I've been getting. You guys are the best. I never thought I'd, be able to make videos and people would actually give a shit. But it's really dope you guys do. I'm going to keep at it. I'll see you next time. Before I go, the next video will either be about it'll either be the demigod video or the starting class one, or perhaps something out of left field. We'll see. I've been working on those two, but I might just get an idea overnight and throw together a whole random video. So we'll see. But I'll see you guys. Have a good one.
I'm very generous. Anything to get you covered in blood.
Tear him to shreds, tear him to bits, gather around and ring the bells.